Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhaled frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great.
Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel?
Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
This is for you, Chris Christie.
Well, I got me a job at a rundown diner, making good tips and it couldn't be finer, till some lady said that I was being rude. She said my suit's too hot and my coffee's cold, and I said, ma'am, that's because you're old. And I decided right there to spit something in her food. So I found a plate and I hocked something in it. Wouldn't you know that at just that minute the manager was coming around that curve. He said, boy, you just must be crazy, not to mention dumb and lazy. I gave that fat bitch just what he deserved. I said, I quit, you fat motherfucker. You can take this job and shove it up your ass. I said, I quit, you fat motherfucker. I'm going home and I'm smoking grass. Well, we all gotta work just to stay alive, and everybody's working that 9 to 5. And working, man, it sure can make you sick. When you've been working 5 years in the same damn place, and the boss keeps screaming in your goddamn face, and you wanna tell that asshole to suck yo. Yeah. Stand up to yourself and be a man. You can do it, anybody can. Give that fat man a big fat piece of your mind. Tell him that you want a raise, and if he laughs right in your face, bend right over and show him your behind. And say, I quit, you fat motherfucker. You can take this job and shove it up your ass. I said, I quit, you fat motherfucker. I'm going home and I'm smoking grass. Everybody's doing what they can, and we're all sick working for the man. So stand up straight and let your voice be heard. Sing this song and flip your boss the bird. And tell him I quit. You fat ass motherfucker. You can take this job and you shove it up your ass. I said I quit. You big fat stinky like an old ass ham sandwich motherfucker. Oh, I'm going home and I'm smoking. Lord, I'm toking. Lord, I'm smoking grass. I'm smoking weed, 'cause I don't need your fucking job. Oh yeah, you fat ass mother.
motherfucker. Welcome back, Toker Talk Radio, everyone. And for those of you who don't know what the hell just happened in the chat room, ask some of the old timers. They'll tell you what's going on. We have this thing called the F-bomb frenzy because normally we don't allow we
try and keep things civil.
Yeah, so
in
I
our
keep,
chat room.
So I keep the general
censor on.
Yeah.
You know, so that people can't be dropping the F-bombs. But in situations like this where this fat, stinky ass ham sandwich motherfucker,
it's well deserved. That's what we're saying here. So you see, what
people need to meme the hell out of this.
Well, that's
picture.
what I'm doing. I'm going to meme this up, and so I'm going to take a little break. Might take me 5 minutes or so to get this thing done, but I'm going to turn this into meme of the day. So stick around. We'll be right back after this short break, and I will post the meme when it's ready. And we'll put it in the chat room and everything, and you can spread it around on Facebook, okay?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Right back.
We'll see.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Greatest threats to liberty has been the government taking people's liberty for things that people are in favor of. The Pew Research Group shows that 52% of Americans think marijuana should not be illegal. And yet there are people in jail, and your Justice Departments continue to put people in jail for sale and use, on occasion, of marijuana. That's something the American public has finally caught up with. It was a cultural lag, and it's been an injustice for 40 years in this country to take people's liberty for something that was similar to alcohol. You have continued what is allowing the Mexican cartels power, and the power to make money, ruin Mexico, and hurt our country by having a prohibition in the late 20th and 21st century. We saw it didn't work in this country in the 20s. We remedied it. This is the time to remedy this prohibition. And I would hope you would do.
Hi, this is Dan Michaels. If you're looking for professional voice talent for your commercial or podcast, I'm your man. Visit danmichaelsaudio.com for more information.
this music. Easy Star All Stars, Us and Them from the dub side of the moon. I love this stuff.
Good stuff.
Coming up later on 420 Radio, the new Viper Hour at the top of the hour, we watched Protect Your Daughters from 1933.
Protect your daughters.
Interesting thing about this movie is 1933, pot was legal, at least federally. It was illegal in a lot of states. But pot was somewhat legal. Alcohol was prohibited.
A timely warning to parents of today.
Yeah, I mean, the movie was released in 33, but it was like probably filmed in 32, so one of the scenes in it is a raid on a speakeasy, basically. Nice. And the Protect Your Daughters was to protect them from alcohol. But what they end up protecting her from is like, really? That was the worst thing that happened? You have to watch it to find out. It's only an hour long. Check it out. Coming up at 5 o'clock, new Viper Hour with our Reefer Movie Madness night. Also, 8 o'clock tonight, we've got A Different View with Jen and Iva, so check it out. And anyway, back to the meme. You can see up on the screen there, if you're watching on our live screen, there's my meme. Let's discuss it. You can tell me, maybe we can fix it.
Wait, let me clear my throat. No, sorry.
Capitalize 2 so it stands out more. Like the 2-year-old. It's all capital. I can't capitalize. It's all caps.
You can't double cap the caps. You can underline it, but, or make it red. But
yeah.
That's,
But here it is. Denies legal medical marijuana to epileptic 2-year-old. I'm not going to allow New Jersey to become a California or Colorado where someone can fake a headache and get a bag of pot on every corner. Because today in New Jersey, you don't have to fake a headache to get a bag of marijuana. I don't know.
I would change his little quote bubble to something like, we're trying to be compassionate here, so we start at home.
Yeah, really.
We block our own children first.
So, I can color it. I'll make it yellow. Anyway, good question just came up, and I did not realize this. Monday is a holiday. Monday is Memorial Day. And we take off federal holidays here.
We do. So that means that next week we will only be having one show before
Tuesday.
we depart.
Yeah, we'll just have a Tuesday show.
Single show from Roll Tide Studios.
Yeah,
before we are...
that'll be our test show to make sure that...
That'll be good.
Although I've been thinking, maybe for the rest of this week, you sit here and I sit there. And you run the show, and then that we can work out some of that.
Might be interesting.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting for sure.
Yes, quite interesting, yes. We'll see.
All right. Yeah, so no movie night next week, unfortunately. So sorry about that. All right, let's see. We'll highlight the epileptic 2-year-old here. See if that makes it stand out a little bit. And, I think I'll add
Maybe
another...
make epileptic red.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna add...
Angry colors.
Angry color?
Yeah, they want to be angry about the epileptic. No, yeah, not that just that she's
red.
A 2-year-old.
2-year-old, there we go. All right. Okay. So I'm going to add another one of his quotes onto this, too. The one he says about, I'm not inclined, blah, blah, blah. So it explains this a little better. We'll get to that on the next break.
He doesn't like inclines?
Yeah, we know that. I'm not inclined. Yes, we know you don't like inclines.
That's kind of evident by the...
It's kind of evident. You salad dodger, you.
Oh, damn.
Denies legal medical marijuana. I can't take him on my screen anymore.
I don't have anything against fat people in general, but that is one fat bastard.
Get in my belly.
Yeah, get in my belly. No,
I can't make these jokes. You can, I can't.
Right.
But let me get to, there was another story, and I think we might have a breaking news story here if I'm checking out. This comes from Paul Armentano, my friend at Normal. Mm-hmm. Breaking news in the People v. Koon case, Koon, out of the Michigan Supreme Court, rules that the medical marijuana law preempts the state's zero-tolerance DUID law. Yeah. All right. Woo. So Rodney Lee Koon was charged in the 86th District Court with operating a motor vehicle with any amount of a Schedule I controlled substance in his body in violation of the Michigan Code. When the defendant was stopped for speeding, he informed the police officer he had a medical marijuana registry card and admitted they did smoke marijuana 5 or 6 hours earlier. Blood tests showed the defendant had tetrahydrocannabinol, the physiologically active component of marijuana, in his bloodstream when operating the vehicle.
Yeah, so
had
zero
THC
tolerance
in the blood, but they got a zero tolerance there. All right. The court, Thomas J. Phillips, concluded that the defendant's registration under the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act protected him from prosecution under the Michigan Code unless prosecution was able to prove that defendant was actually impaired by the presence of marijuana in his body.
Now this is the trend that we like.
The Grand Traverse City Court Judge Philip E. Rogers Jr. affirmed that ruling, concluding the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act superseded the zero tolerance provision. The prosecution appealed that. The Court of Appeals reversed it. This was the reversed it, saying that MMMA, the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, prohibits registered medical marijuana patients from operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of marijuana, and reasoning that under the Michigan Code, a person's under the influence if she or he has any amount in his or her body. The defendant sought to appeal. In the unanimous opinion from the Supreme Court, they held, quote, under the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, a qualifying registered patient is not subject to arrest, prosecution, or penalty for the medical use of marijuana in accordance with the Act, provided that the patient possesses an amount of usable marijuana that does not exceed 2.5 ounces. The statutory definition of medical use includes internal possession. Therefore, the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act shields registered patients from prosecution for the internal possession of marijuana, provided the patient does not otherwise possess more than 2.5 ounces of usable marijuana, which I guess would be saying, as long as you don't have more than 2.5 ounces in your body.
I was going to say that's
a pretty high test, man.
A feat there, you know.
However, the Michigan Code provides a list of activities that are not provided by the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, which includes driving under the influence. Engaging in those activities removes a registered patient from the Act's protection because the patient is no longer acting in accordance with the Act. The Act does not define what it means to be under the influence, but the phrase clearly contemplates something more than having any amount of marijuana in one's system and requires some effect on the person. Thus, the Act's protections extend to a registered patient who internally possesses marijuana while operating a vehicle unless the patient is under the influence of marijuana. The immunity from prosecution provided under the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act to a registered patient who drives with indications of marijuana in his or her system but is not otherwise under the influence of marijuana inescapably conflicts with the Michigan Code, which prohibits a person from driving with any amount of marijuana in his or her system. Under the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, all other acts and parts of acts inconsistent with the Act do not apply to the medical use of marijuana. I love the law.
They're acting up against.
Oh, by the way, I'm reading this down a little bit. I'm not actually putting code numbers in this, so it's worse.
Yeah, this is just about verbatim. He's just not citing.
Consequently, the code does not apply to the medical use of marijuana. The Court of Appeals incorrectly concluded the defendant could be convicted under the code without proof that he had acted in violation of the Act by operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of marijuana. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay. So, unless you just ate a brick of weed.
Thank you.
You're driving.
Thank you. So, clearly, what the Michigan court has said here is just having marijuana in your system as a patient is protected as possession unless you're driving under the influence, which has to be more than just having marijuana in your system. Bravo.
Yes.
Logic rules the day.
Once again, logic rules, so does hash.
And I do believe Michigan is one of the reciprocal states. They will accept any state's card.
Bam.
Wowza.
Let's think about that.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man. Let him bring in the beat.
Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja John, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
back, everybody. 24 after the hour. That's some music from Cass Haley. We love Cass Haley. All right, made an update. We made an update to the meme. It's up on the screen if you like it. Here's the way it's phrased now for those of you listening on the podcast. We got a picture of Chris Christie in recline, in repose, as it were. Double chins a-wagging. And the headline is, denies legal medical marijuana to epileptic 2-year-old. And we've got an highlighted 2-year-old in red. And I've also given a short link to the story. rad-r.us/NJGovMedMJ. But you'll need to see the meme because there's capitalization involved there. I don't know why I do that. But anyway. Because it's the way I am.
It's the programming side of you, Russ.
It's the programming side of me, exactly. So then there's the quotes from Chris Christie about this 2-year-old and the medical marijuana. Quote, I'm very concerned if we go down this slope of allowing minors to use this, where does it ends? And that's the actual quote. Where does it ends?
Really?
Yeah, I just copied and pasted it. Where does it ends? And then, I am not going to allow New Jersey to become a California or Colorado where someone can fake a headache and get a bag of pot on every corner. End quote. And then the tagline, because today in New Jersey, minors don't have to fake a headache to get a bag of marijuana. And then marijuana news every weekday at 420radio.org. So I think that's the one. What do you guys think? We'll check out the chat room here, see what you guys think.
You guys think it's ready for posting? Yeah. Let's see some thumbs up.
Yeah, if there's any other suggestions.
Yeah.
Well, I copied and pasted it. I'll change it to end, but I think either NewJersey.com or whoever posted the story or wrote it made the mistake. But I'm going to make it end just so people don't email me and go, hey, it says ends. How come you didn't fix that? Right, so I'm not making
spell checker, Ross.
Yeah, golly. So, all right, now we'll fix it. Here we go. This is here we go. Crowdsourcing memes. This is fun. Okay, so where does it end? There's your fix. Hope you like it. And we'll get this posted up on the 420 Radio Facebook page. If you haven't checked out the 420 Radio Facebook page, do it. Go to Facebook and look up 420radio.org. That's the long name of it, 420radio.org. You can like us from the front page of 420 Radio.
Org.
Also, there's a Russ Belville Show page, the Russ Belville Show page, up on Facebook. And there's also Twitter feeds for each of those. The Twitter feed is 420radio.org or RB Show 420. And I've tamed my Twitter feed somewhat. So I've got like 7, right? But there's 3 main Twitter feeds, and here's the way it is. There's Radical Russ, RB Show 420, and 420radio.org. And the way I've got it set up now is 420radio.org is going to tweet out to you anytime something new gets posted on 420 Radio on the website. RB Show 420 is going to tweet you anytime something new gets posted on radicalruss.com or the YouTube channel. And then Radical Russ is just, me, just my brain. That's where I'll tweet for the most part. So it's broken down now, makes a little more sense.
We had a suggestion from Libra saying that we should remove the of marijuana, so it's just get a bag.
Fake a headache to get a bag? Minors don't have to fake a headache to get a bag.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, bag of pot. Yeah, I should change it to bag of pot to keep it
bag of pot.
With the way he said it.
The way he talks.
His quote was bag of pot, so we're going to make it bag of pot on ours too.
There we go.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
See, that's why I have editors.
And then they also said put a pig nose on him.
No, I'm going to avoid the going to the fat joke land because that's everybody does that. It's
he
too
does
easy.
Enough satire on his Sam website,
and I'm too fat to make the joke. So there you go. You have to fake a headache to get a bag of pot.
And feel free, you guys, to do whatever you want with that meme.
Yeah. All right. So I think, we'll leave this up, for the rest of the show, and you guys can tell us if there's any other suggestions. But
I don't think I can stand looking at his fat ass for the rest of the show. I think you need to take that shit down.
Okay, I'll probably take it down a little bit.
Okay.
All right, but let me talk a little bit about this first. But yeah, it's getting frustrating on this medical marijuana thing, just because I see this news out of Michigan's good news that, if you're a medical marijuana patient, they have to prove impairment. Merely having marijuana in your system is not a qualifier for their zero tolerance. But once again, it creates a situation where a small minority of pot smokers have a legal protection and the large majority don't. And that creates incentive for the large majority to wriggle their way in through any loophole they can find. And when they do, then the Chris Christies come out and say, see, people are faking a headache to get medical marijuana. So it's kind of this, we've set ourselves up in this kind of political trap where, to protect the few, we've created incentive for the many to abuse the program, thereby making the next program in the next state more restrictive to try to fight that abuse. And then inevitably someone gets through that. And then there's the next one.
It's like we were talking about yesterday with these, more and more constricted laws, just so that every day, that people are breaking the law so that they can get their cards, so that they don't have to be oppressed and discriminated against by the government and the law.
And that's where I keep coming back to with the medical marijuana thing, and listening to Kleiman in the first hour reminded me a bit of this too when it comes to the legalization argument, and that is this a priori assumption that we must do everything we can to convince adults not to smoke marijuana. We must go out of our way to try everything we can through pricing, taxation, regulation, limits, whatever. We got to do what we got to do to make sure that as few people smoke marijuana as possible. Okay, then why does that not apply to alcohol? Jimmy Carter, when he came out just the other day with the Project Sam thing, said, just like we discourage tobacco use and excessive drinking.
Yeah.
But not drinking. We've accepted that drinking is not just, I mean, from a public health standpoint, whenever on a prohibitionist comes up with the public health issue, my mind just starts to laugh at them, because everything that comes out of their mouth from that point forward is an argument for alcohol prohibition.
Yep.
Just keep that in mind. As soon as they start talking health effects, 1 out of 6 minors will get addicted to it. Really? What's the number for alcohol?
Mm-hmm.
And why aren't we banning that? Why aren't you calling for arrests and health screenings and mandatory treatments for people who are caught with a small amount of alcohol?
Yeah, alcohol and liquor are a couple of the only organizations still allowed to advertise in publications and on TV.
And
tobacco, when was the last time you even saw a tobacco commercial?
And where they're going to come back at this is they're going to say, with alcohol, it's different. There's, cultures have been using alcohol for thousands of years, and we've come to accept it and come up with mores and norms that are blah, 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 blah. All your mores and norms have led to thousands of people getting in drunk driving accidents. Don't give me that we've got culture and mores and norms, because they ain't working either. Mm-hmm. There's a major public health issue with alcohol, and yet nobody ever says we need to reduce drinking. We need to get Americans to drink less. We need to start putting restrictions on alcohol advertising, making it so they can't advertise whatsoever, and that taverns shouldn't be able to advertise, what they have. Like they can't have a sign with a little martini glass on it, like we would have a pot leaf sign. Yeah, and can't have that anymore.
Yeah, and they can't have outdoor open air, bar areas where people might be able to see you consuming alcohol. Oh, heaven forbid.
Exactly. We never hear this from
we used to have that way, actually. It used to be you could not stroll downtown here in Portland and, have any visible alcohol consumption. Now we got outdoor bar areas, where anybody can just walk up, some minor could just walk by and snag a drink from some unsuspecting table. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Everything we've seen with alcohol has been, aside from raising the drinking age to 21, everything we've seen with alcohol since then has been promotion of alcohol for adults, has been allow these big companies to have, when Sabet and these guys keep coming back with, big tobacco, it'll be like big tobacco or big alcohol or whatever. Well, okay, we did something about big tobacco, and we're not doing a damn thing about big alcohol. Where do you stand on those?
Yeah, and this brings back, my mind to the story about the Olympics. How these Olympians, they go out and they get smashed, just totally, just undeniably over the limit, on alcohol, and it's perfectly fine for them to do that. It's socially acceptable. But heaven forbid they, use a natural plant to relieve their pain or, get rid of their social anxiety so that they can actually compete or, that kind of shit. No.
Now, if Yeah, the world's oldest marijuana stash is a story from 2008. Thank you. The thing that is really maddening about this, I don't know if you saw this movie that's coming out. There is a movie coming out, and it's about these guys who take a massive amount of drugs, and they have a overdose on these drugs that almost kills them. But this overdose is so potent, there's such a strong drug overdose that they actually lose time. They actually black out and commit all sorts of criminal acts while blacked out on this drug overdose.
Wait, I've heard of this stuff. It's called Ambien.
No. They're all blacked out on this drug overdose, and they commit all sorts of social crimes and disorder. And actually, this is the third in a trilogy of movies about a drug overdose where they black out, from
I
having
know
so much
this
drugs.
movie. Wait, I've heard of.
Have you heard
seen
of it?
This one.
What's
I've
the
seen
title
the
of it?
second one. It's called The Hangover.
That's it. Yes, The Hangover. Zach Galifianakis movie. Yeah, The Hangover. That's what I'm getting at. Is we have a society where drug overdose from alcohol is for a comedy trilogy.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, we've got our Harold and Kumars, we got our Cheech and Chongs, and we got all of that. But those are underground kind of resistance counterculture movies, right?
Yeah. I mean, Half Baked wasn't. I mean, it was in theaters, but mainstream people didn't even start picking up on it for another 10 years.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the box office figures, I mean, only maybe the latest Harold and Kumars have been anywhere in the neighborhood of what a Hangover 1, 2, or 3 has done.
I sure as shit haven't seen any of them in the theaters. So.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the kind of thing that just drives me nuts when we're talking about this. Is this assumption that we have to try to stop people from smoking pot. And I just don't understand it. Now, they don't make that assumption with tobacco. Yeah. The assumption with tobacco is we got to do everything we can to stop people from smoking tobacco. And we pretty much have, right? We instituted ad bans. We, we made sure the tobacco age was checked, put the smokes behind locked counters, did public service campaigns on how deadly harmful this drug was. And it worked. We've gotten smoking rates down to their lowest rates ever. But why would we have to undertake that with cannabis? This is the thing that's so frustrating is when they come out and they'll say, the big tobacco arguments, big tobacco lied about the harmfulness of its product. Yeah, because it's fucking harmful. Yeah. You don't have to lie about the harmfulness of cannabis. Yeah. In fact, we can be open and honest about how harmful cannabis is. If you smoke a lot of cannabis, you'll probably get kind of a sputum, kind of a cough. When you're high, you might have an accident or two from being clumsy, or you might, lose your keys or something.
Accidentally burn yourself on your nail.
Might burn yourself on a dab nail.
But that, it's nothing that's going to be severely, injuring yourself or others. It's just
exactly, and that's
ridiculous.
That's
the difference.
That's why any argument that they start with, anytime I'm in these debates with these people, I think one mistake that sometimes is made in the drug reform debate is acceding to the point that we need to practice harm reduction on marijuana. Yeah. Not to say that we don't want to practice harm reduction in if people have a serious dependency issue and they want to get help, they'll get them help, sure. But, and not that we don't practice harm reduction in trying to keep kids away from it. What I'm saying is, when harm reduction is defined as trying to convince adults not to smoke it, for any reason other than what the effect of smoking it is, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. We need to just say, hey, you want to smoke it? Smoke it. Here's what it can do. You're on your own. You're an adult.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, though, when you think about it. It's like saying, oh, no, don't do that thing you want to do. Well, why not? Well, because you want to do it.
Right. And,
what?
And the other thing, is
wait.
Like reading
don't
that
I have
thing,
some free will here,
reading that thing that came from DuPont the other day, where he was saying, if Jahar had to pass a drug test to get his driver's license, would that severe and immediate consequence have led him away from using marijuana? And that's something Sabet and these guys, I've been studying them. They have this thing called SBIRT, S-B-I-R-T, Standard Brief Interventions Referral to Treatment. And what it is this idea that one of the successful ways of getting pot smokers to stop smoking pot is to create a consequence that's immediate. Like you fail your P test, bam, they take you to jail right then for a day. Mm-hmm. And they've shown through statistics that when you do that, boy, there's this immediate reduction in pot smoking. Well, no shit, because you made a consequence that was far more harmful than the pot smoking. Well, doesn't it tell you something when you have to invent a consequence for the use of a drug in order to get people to stop using it?
Well, it's the way that they train anybody. There's that the reward versus punishment system.
Exactly.
Good attention is going to be favored over bad attention, and getting thrown in a cage for doing something that was harmless to your body, that's bad attention. We don't like that.
And doesn't it tell you something that when you do give the sudden consequence to marijuana smoking, the pot smokers can actually stop? They're not like the meth users or heroin guys that will still do stuff after bad consequences. Doesn't that say something too? Oh boy, I'm all riled up.
Apparently
take a
not
break,
to them.
reduce the blood pressure, have a little hash.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
Hi, I'm Keith Stropp. I'm legal counsel at Normal, and I'm the old guy who founded Normal back in 1970. I also recently published a book by High Times Press entitled It's Normal to Smoke Pot. I look forward to joining you at the Texas Regional Seminar coming up on June 7th through 9th. The seminar theme is Grabbing Prohibition by the Horns, and one thing for certain, we are at the tipping point in this country, and we are well into the process of ending prohibition once and for all. Hope to see you in Fort Worth in early June. Thank you.
I am not a stoner. I am nothing you've heard. I'm you. We may not be happy with the world that we live in. Politicians who believe in criminalization, making deals with big pharma, and trading big money behind the scenes is not a way to stay in office. I will go to bat for you. I will go to Burning Man and smoke my brains out. I'm Terry Joyce, and I approve this message. I'm you, and also, I'm a witch.
Say, chum, where you headed? Just to see my best girl Donna, that's where. We're gonna split a soda pop. It'll be keen. Soda pop, eh? I have something that's even keener than soda pop. It's called marijuana. Marijuana? Come, I'll show you. Hyde, you were right. Marijuana is the bee's knees. Yep, all it takes is one puff to make you hopelessly addicted. I am hopelessly addicted.
Here's a new shipment, fresh from wherever the hell country I am from.
Gee willikers, Eric. Where have you been? You missed choir practice.
Sorry, dollface, but now, thanks to marijuana, I'm incurably insane.
Well, I'm not gonna let a swell kid like you ruin your life.
Not so fast, sister. I need that for the school children.
Alas, marijuana has ended my young, promising life.
This is what's happening all over America. And it could happen in your home, or yours, or yours.
Oh, yeah, that 70s show. Good find by Brian the Red on that one.
Oh, just classic Reefer Madness, that they were highlighting in that show, showing that there's really no harm to it.
And that brings something up, though. That 70s show, how long did it run? Like 9 years, something like that?
It had 8 or 9 seasons.
So here you got on the Fox network a show about teenagers in the 70s in Wisconsin. And almost every show featured a smoking table, a smoking circle, where the camera would pan around to the person who just passed the joint.
It goes down to the basement shot where they're all, they've got their chairs all around in a circle formation,
Yeah, so very clear what's going on. There's always smoke in the shot.
And they're lighting incense. Why would you just hang out in a room full of incense? Come on.
And this is how you can tell we're winning. This is how you can tell that there's just no stopping this juggernaut of legalization, because it's just entered the cultural consciousness. And it comes back to the point I'm making about their argument against us. Because any argument with respect to health consequences, the children, public safety, whatever, any argument they bring up is an argument to prohibit alcohol. It's an argument to prohibit alcohol and tobacco, right? So their answer that they'll come back with, why don't we prohibit alcohol? Or if you bring up prohibition was such a failure, they'll just bring up, well, there's this cultural acceptance of alcohol. We've done it for thousands of years, and we have all of these mores and norms and blah, blah, blah. How much more cultural acceptance do you need than 9 years of a sitcom that celebrated teenagers smoking pot?
And what I'd like to point out, too, is if you've actually watched most of the, seasons, there's quite rampant preteen alcohol use as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was just highlighting what the time was like. And if it was like that back in the 70s, then there's even more people that are in those circles now.
And the telling thing about their argument is for them to have to rely on, well, alcohol has this culture. Oh, thank you for just admitting this is a culture war. Because that's what we've been saying it is all along, that there's no logical reason for treating marijuana more severely than you treat alcohol or tobacco. The only reason can be that you're fighting a culture. And if you're fighting a culture, then does that not give credence to my argument made a couple of weeks ago on the rant about PTSD and the structures of our brains, that we as a culture are a people that are being discriminated against?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the plant so much is illegal, it's the people that use the plant are discriminated against.
Keep your laws off of my CB1 and 2 receptors.
There you go. In fact, that's the other argument.
That's my argument.
Whenever I have to deal with, it's like I got to talk to people on the conservative side and on the liberal side. And it's funny to me, too, how, conservatives peg me as this super hyper liberal and liberals peg me as this redneck conservative sometimes. It's just very funny.
It's amusing.
And to be fair, to admit, I was on progressive radio and branded myself progressive liberal for a long, long time. Although in those circles, they thought of me as a libertarian. They thought I was more of a libertarian type. When I talk to libertarians, they think I'm a statist. So, I mean, hard to,
Stop putting labels on me. I'm just a pot smoker.
Hard to pin me down.
Along,
But,
yeah, you can't paint this guy with a wide enough brush.
There you go. But, I've talked to people on both sides. And so when it comes to the conservative side, you've heard a lot of my arguments on that. Why do you let the hippies get away with a tax-free lifestyle? Use their own hatred of taxes against them. On the liberal side, the way I like to attack, because now there's starting to be, it's not as often that you have to attack liberals, right? Because usually
they will just agree, and
usually they want legalization. But now with this Project Sam thing, and you're getting high-profile liberals and Democrats like Kennedy and Carter and these guys, and more will start coming over to their side. Trust me on this one. I know how Washington works. But the way you're going to have to attack these guys? And some of them you won't be able to. I don't know where Carter stands on the issue, but the pro-choice side. What, you're telling me that a woman can do what she wants with her uterus, but I can't do what I want with my lungs?
Yeah.
Excuse me? How's that work?
Yeah.
Keep your laws off my body.
Mm-hmm.
So start playing pro-choice and start playing civil rights on him. Oh, what? You can discriminate against Jews now? No, of course you can't discriminate against Jews. Well, why not? They're not a race. They're not well, maybe Jews was a bad choice. Muslims. All right. You discriminate against Muslims, but wow, they're not a race. They're not, what is it? Oh, because it's a religion, because it's something they believe. So we can institute protections against discrimination for people not based on their inherent characteristics, but on how they choose to live their life. Is that what you're telling me? So some people who choose to live their life using a plant that is shown to be less harmful than what you currently allow that sounds to me like a people, and it sounds to me like you're discriminating against them. So there's some of the arguments on the left, if you have to ever get into those.
Yeah, I mean, if you can say everybody who smokes pot on this side of the room, and everybody who doesn't on that side of the room, that's putting us into a group. That means that we should have certain rights as that group, right? I mean,
well, and it really, for me, if you want to get it down to the constitutional level, we are a country that was founded by agrarian hemp farmers.
Mm-hmm.
How can they not believe that we have the right to plant seeds and sow crops?
Yeah, hey, my, ancestors came over on that big stupid boat. You're going to tell me that now I don't have the same rights that they came over here for?
Georgia Mom in the chat room is saying, write this shit down unless I'm missing some of it. Maybe I'll write a book. I keep getting pestered to write a book, so maybe I'll just do that.
Replay tonight at 7.
There we go.
7 Pacific.
But there's just I've got an argument for just about anybody, as far as why marijuana should be legalized. But to me, it just comes down to natural rights.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down, and you'll hear a lot of people make a 10th Amendment argument. Well, my God, it's states' rights. No, I think it's human right. It's personal right. It's a right that supersedes even the right of a state to ban or not ban it, because to me it comes under the 9th Amendment to the Constitution. The enumeration of certain rights in this Constitution is not meant to disparage the natural rights retained by the people or the state, or thereby the state. Let me look it up. I'm pretty close. By God, I used to have the whole Bill of Rights.
Whatever happened to the all men created equal?
Well, other than the ones that were 3/5 of a person for the first 180 some odd years. But anyway,
but
9th Amendment of the Constitution. I was close. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Other rights. To me, this says that the founding fathers were saying, look, we're going to write down a bunch of rights in the Constitution.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's all of them. Doesn't mean just because we wrote down 18 rights that you don't have 100 more that we didn't get the time to write down. The right to bear children, the right to reproduce, the right to jog, the right to masturbate. I mean, they couldn't write everything down.
Yeah.
All right.
Because they don't apply to everybody, I mean.
Now this is, you can read up on the Wikipedia on this, and let's see. The 9th Amendment is relevant to the interpretation of the 14th Amendment. Justice Arthur Goldberg, joined by Chief Justice Earl Warren and Justice William Brennan, expressed in the case Griswold v. Connecticut. Now, Griswold was a case that had to do, I believe, with reproductive rights as far as birth control. I think that was Griswold. The framers did not intend that the first 8 amendments be construed to exhaust the basic and fundamental rights. I do not mean to imply that the 9th Amendment constitutes an independent source of rights protected from infringement by either the states or the federal government. While the 9th Amendment, and indeed the entire Bill of Rights, originally concerned restrictions upon federal power, the subsequently enacted 14th Amendment prohibits the states as well from abridging fundamental personal liberties. And the 9th Amendment, in indicating that not all such liberties are specifically mentioned in the first 8 amendments, is surely relevant in showing the existence of other fundamental personal rights, now protected from state as well as federal infringement. In sum, the 9th Amendment simply lends strong support to the view that the liberty protected by the 5th and 14th Amendments from infringement by the federal government or the states is not restricted to rights specifically mentioned in the first 8 amendments. Very simple. This tells me that our Supreme Court, that the way our country works is that you have a right until it's shown you don't. Things are legal until they're proven to be harmful, and then they may be abridged. Yeah. And I cannot fathom a United States of America founded by George Washington, a hemp farmer, Thomas Jefferson, a hemp farmer, all of these hemp farmers, not conceiving that there would be a natural right to farm. I can't imagine that is the reality we live in, but that's the reality we live in. And Controlled Substances Act or not, if you get right down to just the hemp issue, I can see no constitutional support for the banning of hemp, for the DEA to have any authority to grant a license or a permit to farmers to grow hemp when our founding fathers grew it. If Thomas Jefferson didn't have to apply for a permit, by God, the guy in Colorado shouldn't have to apply for a permit either. Oh, read your Constitution, people. Do your fucking homework.
Frustrating.
I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up the show and get ready for the new Viper Hour. Protect Your Daughters coming up at the top of the hour.
It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
It's simply business. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business. It's simply business, you know why they won't let us grow. It's simply business.
Can I take your order?
Give me 15 cheeseburgers.
Can I take your order?
Can I take your number?
Can I take your order?
You got any eggs?
Can I take your order?
Man, I don't have any money. I don't have any money. All right, well, hey, go. Man, watch out!
Na 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 na. Yeah. La 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 la. Burning marijuana got me calm. You keep me calm. You make me smart. Burning on the highway. It's the highest way. Gets into my head.
Welcome back. That's Richie Spice with Marijuana. There's some great music like that on the Red Eyes Reggae Flashback on Irie Wednesdays, is what I was trying to say.
On every Irie Wednesday. So,
a couple of other quick notes in the headline news. In Dane County, Wisconsin, a group of the county supervisors want to have a measure to urge the state to back marijuana legalization. And the guy's got 10 co-sponsors already. That's pretty good. Middle Wisconsin, that's cool. And then out of Boston.com, a story, Quincy, the city of Quincy, Massachusetts, has decided to make an ordinance that the dispensaries have to follow federal law.
wait. What?
Yes. The new rules, one of which points to the federal ban on medical marijuana, will go to the full city council for a vote. The draft of the document basically says that they want to keep it in accordance with any changes in state law. This is weird. Also, bans vending machines and have to be 1,500 feet away from residences, schools, or other medical marijuana centers, dispensaries.
Now, hold on. Federal ban on medical marijuana? There is no federal ban on medical marijuana. They don't recognize medical marijuana.
Right.
It's
Basically, Quincy is writing an ordinance here that where you can't have a dispensary. You cannot open a dispensary and comply with federal law.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what they're looking at here. And the counselor who suggested this said the intent was not to prohibit dispensaries, but rather keep any approved ordinance in line with ongoing changes to state law. Well, the state medical marijuana law doesn't say has to comport with federal law. Yeah. That would be stupid.
That would be impossible.
That would be idiotic. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with this. We'll keep you informed about it. But that's all the time we got for today. Thanks for joining us here on Toker Talk Radio. Hey, by the way, all of our new feeds are up. If you go to rad-r.us/420feeds, you'll get the list of all of them. They're posted in our forums under the 420 Radio podcasting, I believe. We got feeds now for every feed reader through RSS or through iTunes. You can get a different view. Toker Talk Radio, the Russ Belville Show. I'm tired. The Libra Lounge and the 420 Radio News. So check those out. They're all on iTunes. Just go to the iTunes store and search for 420 Radio. Thanks for joining us. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.
Greatest threats to liberty has been the government taking people's liberty for things that people are in favor of. The Pew Research Group shows that 52% of Americans think marijuana should not be illegal. And yet there are people in jail, and your Justice Departments continue to put people in jail for sale and use, on occasion, of marijuana. That's something the American public has finally caught up with. It was a cultural lag, and it's been an injustice for 40 years in this country to take people's liberty for something that was similar to alcohol. You have continued what is allowing the Mexican cartels power and the power to make money, ruin Mexico, and hurt our country by having a prohibition in the late 20th and 21st century. We saw it didn't work in this country in the 20s. We remedied it. This is the time to remedy this prohibition. And I would hope you would do so.
But not too strong. You be high, but not for long. If you a viper.
Good evening, Tokers and Tokettes, and welcome. We are coming to you live from Rolla J Studios for the new Viper Hour, a celebration of America's reefer jazz culture. And this summer we are having Reefer Movie Madness Night. Can't find too many drive-ins anymore, so pretend this is your drive-in.